I started lying about everything. I wanted people to like me. I wanted to be accepted in some society of life, some social society. And I lost myself. I never had myself. I never found myself. I had no self-esteem.
Oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid this. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how we think.
I don't think I'm beautiful until you call me beautiful. I actually don't think I'm the shit until you tell me I'm the shit. I don't have faith in me until you have faith in me. I don't believe in me until you believe in me. A lot of y'all have the deepest level of validation issues, and you're not even conscious of it. You need people with you and around you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the idea of spending time alone scares the shit out of you. This is not going to be a pattern of validation that gets fixed and handled overnight. You are deathly afraid to live with and be with you. And so you got text messages, phone calls, and people at your house, video games. You have to be consumed and around and in an environment with people all day, every day, because you don't love yourself.
If you don't have people that dislike you or get upset at you, then you don't respect yourself. And I know that that sounds crazy, but that pretty much just means that you're kind of teetering towards what everybody else expects from you or what everybody else wants or needs from you. I feel like that constant desire to appeal to every single person is disrespecting yourself. And if you don't even respect yourself, you can never count on anybody to respect you. I feel like people constantly disrespecting themselves is exactly why good things don't happen to people. That's exactly why people are so unsuccessful in life. Because if I wake up every single morning with the goal of working out or reading something and doing something productive, and then I don't accomplish any of that in the day because I disrespected myself. Let's say I just went to a party, or let's say I just slept in all day. I set out all of those goals and then I blatantly disrespected myself by not doing any of it. So now when I wake up and I try to set the same exact goals, I'm not going to accomplish any of it. Not because I don't have the motivation this time, but it's because I don't respect myself. Why would I respect myself if I've constantly proven to myself that I'm disrespecting myself? If you gave one of your friends an important task that could make or break your future, and then they don't do it, and then you give them the same exact task the next day so they can redeem themselves, and they once again don't do it, they're going to start respecting that person to handle that decision. The same way that a lot of us wake up wondering why we don't have the motivation or wondering why we can't stick to these goals that we set out, is because we don't respect ourselves enough to actually do it.
How much do you love yourself? Because if you understand the value of self-love, you'll never be friends with those type of people or ever accept any invites that has to do with this or that. Most of the people out here are running around empty. They have no sense of self, no sense of self-love. When I say self-love, it has nothing to do with celebrity, money, materialistic things, and all of the things that your negative mind could probably go to. Has nothing to do with self-love, has nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with cars and any of the superficial things that one would assume that could make you love yourself even more. It's a matter of knowing your value. It's a matter of you saying, I don't have to be around these people in these type of environments and situations in order for me to finally see the value in myself. I love me independent of you loving me.
Why should you love yourself? Because if I said, should you love yourself? Is it important? Everyone would, yeah, of course. Everyone agreed that was like important. But when I said, well, why should you love yourself? People were really struggled with the answer to that question. And I would wait for an answer. I'd just sit there in silence with the audience. I did this at my retreat every year for years. I would just sit in silence while the audience came up with an answer to why to love yourself. And eventually someone would say, well, because we deserve it. And I'd say, okay, but why do you deserve it? Like, let's explore that. Why do you deserve self-love? Or why do you deserve love? Well, because I'm generous. because I'm ambitious, because I take care of my family, because I work really hard, they would start reeling off these qualities. And I'd be like, this is a problem because you're not those things every minute of the day. So are you saying you don't deserve love when you're not those things? And people would suddenly realize why they hated themselves so much of the time. Because they were never living up to this thing that they thought, if I'm these things, then I'm lovable. So anytime they said a mean thing, anytime they were selfish, anytime they didn't show up for their family, anytime they didn't work hard, they would suddenly go straight to, I'm detestable. I deserve contempt. So that didn't work. Not to mention, even on your days where you are those things, there's always someone who's more of them. So if someone can walk into the room and they're more hardworking, or they're more ambitious, or they're kinder, or they're more generous, do they deserve more self-love than you deserve?
Right.
That's a problem. If you ask a parent, why do you love your child? A parent doesn't say, well, because they got an A in maths yesterday, and because, have you seen how hard they work at school? And,
Right.
and they look so cute in that dress this morning. And you ask, why do you love your child? A parent will go, they're my child. They're mine. Well, what if you took that model and you used that as your model for self-love?
If you want to learn about not having a mental self-image, watch your dog or your cat. They don't have an opinion about who they are. They just are who they are. So that removes an enormous amount of problems from their lives. Of course, they don't have the mind activity that creates a self-image in their head. They are pre-mind, and therefore their life is far less problematic than human life. You can see how wonderful it is not to have a self-image. You can look at an ugly dog or an ugly cat. They don't have a problem with that.
So you got a human. Your job, your only job in your life is to take care of that human.
Yes.
You don't have any other job. Like, you may take on lots of other jobs, friendships, marriage, a career, but the one job you always have, no matter what, is you have to take care of this human. Look after them, nurture them, support them, encourage them, stand up for them. Try to give this human the best life you can.
So I knew through working out and through learning, because it took a lot for me to learn also. I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you gonna make fun of me? I stopped caring about that.
I read a quote a little while ago that said, love yourself so much that nobody's absence bothers you. And I feel like that's honestly the biggest change in mentality that we need. We need to grow for ourselves, not for other people. You need to learn how to love yourself so much, not so another person's absence doesn't bother you, but love yourself so much that you love yourself more than caring if somebody's absence actually bothers you or not.
But it's also loving yourself is also understanding how and when to say a healthy no. No is a complete sentence, my grandma says. I don't need to give any explanation. Sometimes it's just no and a period.
For example, somebody last week asked me to study, and I know the type of person I am. I know that if I study with a friend, I'm not going to get work done because we're going to talk the whole time. So I was blunt and I said no because I respected myself enough to know that I'm not going to be productive if I study with you. And there were no hard feelings on my end, but that person dislikes me now. And I feel like it's moments like this that kind of emphasize what I'm talking about. Because if I compromise with this person and then study with them, I would not have studied effectively. I would not be showing my self-respect because I'm doing something that I know wouldn't benefit me just so I can make another person happy. And that's why I say that if you don't have people that dislike you or get upset at you, you're not respecting yourself. Because you cannot make everybody happy. It's borderline impossible.
I always say that my job is to like Lisa first. Before anything that occurs today, my job is to like Lisa and to know that I'm going to bring the best version of me in every situation I can, to like me before anyone on Facebook likes me, and to know that I'm okay. What does it mean to be everything to you? That's not an arrogant statement. It's not a place of self-indulgence. It's to recognize that self-care is not selfish. It's to recognize that you can only serve others from a full cup, and that it's your job to fill yourself up. Fill yourself up with positive thinking. That's why you're here. Fill yourself up with new possibility. That's why you're here. Fill yourself up with new opportunities. Fill yourself up with having the best people on your planet, loving yourself enough to remove unhealthy, toxic people out of your life.
People don't have to like you. People don't have to love you. They don't even have to respect you. But when you look in the mirror, you better love what you see.
But a lot of us have already gotten ourselves into that position where we're doing this for another person. We're trying to love ourselves enough for another person. And if that's your situation, I would honestly say that that's perfect, because now you're down here, right? You need to rebuild yourself back up, and you're going to actually do it the right way.
So I made a list of how to love yourself. And it's even in poster and postcard form now. But number one on that list of how to love yourself is to stop all criticism. Just stop it now and forevermore. And make a vow to yourself that you're going to do your very best from now on to stop criticizing, number one, you, and then other people. It'll be a lot easier to stop criticizing other people when you stop criticizing yourself.
You know, you are not your past. You're you. You're you right now. Like the past you did, you might have done some things you wish you hadn't done. Don't dwell on that. You learn from it, that's fine, but don't dwell on it. Just keep moving. Keep moving. You know, use it as fuel. Say never again. You know, I get what I did wrong, but don't think that you're that person that made those mistakes. You're the person who's learned, you know, and to have that attitude is a really important thing. And to not say, why am I doing this now? I could have been doing this my whole life. Well, you weren't, so is that going to help?
Yeah.
You know, you gotta not think like that. You just got to be happy you're doing it now. Yeah, I realized at an early age that there's zero benefit in being hard on yourself, because I am, no matter what, I'm a perfectionist and I get very angry at myself. There's zero benefit to self-talk that's negative. So I cut that out of my life like very early on.
The most important conversation is the one you have with yourself. You wake up with it, you walk around with it, you go to bed with it. Eventually, you act on it. Sometimes you act on it good, sometimes bad. You got to change the internal dialogue. That person in your head that's talking shit to you, you got to change that.
I realized somewhere along the way that the negative, in any way, shape, or form, I didn't need it, because I was so driven, like that the negative was just getting in the way. It was like I thought that it was helping me because I was like, come on, you like get going. But then I realized, like, no. Like, there's no benefit to that, because you already have like this crazy desire to get better. So just don't ever be shitty to yourself.
How often do you terrorize yourself with your own thoughts? You get into absolute terror, and it's only coming from your thoughts. Nobody out there is doing a thing.
And then when I started paying attention to my thoughts and changing them and saying, you know what, thank you for sharing that, brain or spirit or whatever's going on in there, but you know what, I am doing good. I am better. I am trying, you know, and redirecting those thoughts to be more positive thoughts and affirmations.
You did some things that you regret. There's nothing wrong with that. People make mistakes. Things don't turn out the way that they wanted them to. We made decisions and there was a bad result at the end of that decision. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm a terrible person, no, it's like you made a mistake and that's okay and you got to move on.
You know, because it's one thing if you're sad because you've lost people. It's another thing if you're blaming yourself because you believe, and maybe with some cause, that you've made a mistake. And often people don't know what to do about the fact that they've made a mistake.
You got to forgive yourself. See, a lot of us have done some things in the past, or lied to ourselves, or lied to others, or procrastinated, or, you know, all the things we've done has been recorded in our subconscious our whole life. And sometimes we get to the point where deep down, subconsciously, that we're not aware of, we don't think we deserve anything better than we're getting. And that's why we're getting what we're getting. See, you're never going to outperform your own self-image. So you may not be aware of it because we grow these things called egos to protect ourselves, but you theoretically could completely think you're a loser without even knowing you're a loser. So step one is forgive yourself and others from this point forward. You got to openly and honestly forgive yourself and others. Wipe the slate clean. There should be no resentment towards yourself, no resentment towards anybody else.
There's not much difference between forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. And you can't just do that by saying that you're going to do it. So what I've observed clinically, and I think this works philosophically as well, is that what you want to do to set things right, which is to atone, is to lay out what you've done that you think was wrong. Provide yourself with the best possible defense. So imagine you're taking yourself to task because you did some things wrong. It's like, okay, list them out in your imagination or write it down. But then you got to defend yourself as thoroughly as you possibly can, which doesn't mean you're trying to get yourself off the hook. It means that you're trying not to take yourself apart more than is necessary. And then you might ask, well, if I've done something terrible, maybe what's necessary is that I commit suicide, is that like I pay the ultimate price for my sins, and people will do that when they're depressed. And that's not right, because actually what you want to do to atone is to set yourself back on the right track. So the precondition for forgiving yourself is, first of all, to sort out whether or not you're accusing yourself too viciously.
You say, oh yeah, I made the decision at this time. Of course, if I had this other information, I'd change it, but I did what I did. The result was not what I wanted. It's not what I intended. Here we are. And now you can either beat yourself up, or you can say, here's some lessons I've learned from it. One of my SEALs killed a friendly Iraqi soldier in a terrible situation. And of course, we could go back, and the hindsight's 20/20, and I could have done this, and I should have done this, and I should have done something else. And I didn't. And that's on me. And so I think, that initial part, if we're going to talk about forgiveness, the first part of that is taking ownership, to say, yep, this was my call. This was my decision. This is the move that I made. That's me. Mm-hmm. It's not anybody else, it's me. Mm-hmm. Because the minute you start saying, well, this person did that, and this person, the enemy did this, and we didn't expect that. The minute you start casting blame on other people, now I think you're lying to yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to cause more problems. So saying, yes, this was a decision I made. This is the information I had at the time. It ended up being a bad decision. Here was my intent behind it, and I've got to move forward. If you want to, I always talk about, you want to learn, but you don't want to dwell. Yeah, if you dwell on the past, if you dwell on the mistakes that you made, like you said, everybody is just doomed.
Just say the words, I forgive myself for every mistake I ever made. I am a thoroughly good person, and I'm going to have a wonderful future. Even better, you can add the words, I love myself unconditionally. When you love yourself unconditionally, you let yourself go. Now, whenever you think of that past event or situation or person that you hurt or did something untoward to, just repeat, I forgive myself completely. And then get on with your life.